Welcome to the show, where today I want to talk about one of the most damaging things to happen to your first-time home buying process. Not because it's a scam, not because it's malicious, but because millions of people are trusting it to answer a question that it simply cannot answer. I'm talking about mortgage calculators. Let's hear that story.
How to Buy a Home educates, protects, and connects first-time home buyers to qualified vetted realtors in their area. Whether you're looking for DIY information or step-by-step guidance, How to Buy a Home is the #1 resource for first-time home buyers.
What's up, How to Buy a Homies? I'm David Sidoni, and back in April of 2023, I put out an episode. It was entitled, Mortgage Calculators Are Garbage. I know, it was harsh, but it's true. A better way to say it is, I guess, like this. Mortgage calculators are a tool pretending to answer a question that it has no business answering. Now, mortgage calculators aren't useless. If you want to know roughly what the principal and the interest payment would be on a $500,000 loan at a certain interest rate, yes, they can do the math for that. That's what calculators do. They calculate. The problem starts when aspiring first-time home buyers ask a mortgage calculator a question by putting in their information into that calculator, and the calculator, with the way that it's set up, it has absolutely no ability to answer the main question they have. Can I buy a home? Reason for that is it's not a simple math question. This is a personal finance, personal goal, overall personal life question for everybody. Can't be answered with just a few clicks. Now, I know that sounds obvious, because I know that the younger generations, people coming up to buy homes, you're independent, sometimes skeptical, and always careful. And that's a generation coming up to be new home buyers. But I think we've forgotten the simplicity around the statement that personal finances are just that, personal. And somewhere along the way, the internet has convinced everybody out there that buying a home, it can be reduced to 5, 6, 7 little boxes. Home price, down payment, interest rate, how many years on the loan, property taxes, insurance, HOA, and PMI. Hit enter, boom, there's your answer. Except it is absolutely not. It's not even close. Buying a home is one of the most complex financial decisions that you're ever going to make. And somehow, people have gotten convinced that a calculator with 7 boxes to fill in is going to give you a definitive answer. Buying a home is so much bigger than that. Imagine doing that if you were deciding whether or not you should marry somebody based on 7 data points: height, age, income, politics, taste in music, zip code, favorite pizza topping. Boom, click, soulmate. Nobody's going to trust that. Yet somehow we have tragically limited mortgage calculators that people are putting all their faith into. And that one little calculation, the very beginning of the home buying process, that's what tells people whether they should stop or start their pursuit of the American dream. These remedial calculations are the things that people are making their life decisions around. They decide whether they can or they can't buy a home. They decide if they need 5 more years to save, or they decide that, I'm going to move to a farm somewhere and I'm going to start raising goats because apparently that's the only way that I'm going to be able to buy a home in America. When I say that the results from 5, 6, or 7 boxes is given way too much importance right now, I would say that's not telling you the whole story about your buying options. But when I say that, that's not even big enough. How much it misses is better described like this. Imagine a mortgage calculator as a 1-page PDF instruction manual. That's one way that you can build your life. The other way is a 50-page detailed manual complete with your own professional at your beck and call to review the entire manual with you page by page. Here's just a sampling of that 7-box calculation that isn't calculating everything. Continuing with the instruction manual metaphor I just did, this isn't even all of the things that are well beyond that 5 or 7 box calculation. I'm just going to give you the first few pages of the 50-page manual, just a taste of the hundreds of factors that illustrate how incomplete mortgage calculator numbers are, and potentially incorrect on your down payment, but most importantly, your monthly payment by hundreds and, yes, quite often, thousands of dollars. The calculator doesn't know your credit score. And even if it does ask for your credit score, it's probably not asking for your correct mortgage score, the one that the lenders actually use, because most buyers don't realize you have dozens and dozens, over 40 different credit scores, And that one score that you get from your Credit Karma, that can be dramatically different from the score that's going to be used by a mortgage lender to get your loan approval. The calculator doesn't know if you qualify for down payment assistance or state offers, grants from your specific area. Maybe your city has first-time home buyer programs. It doesn't know if you qualify for lender credits, for those community lending programs, for closing cost assistance, for first-generation buyer assistance, for profession-specific programs like for doctors or teachers or firemen. And it doesn't count for the dozens and dozens of creative financing options that lenders use every single day. Mortgage calculators don't know if you should be using 3% down or 3.5% down or 5% down or 10 or 20% down payment. It doesn't know which one of those is your best strategy. It doesn't know if you even qualify for a zero down loan payment program. It doesn't know if you need cash reserves. It doesn't know anything about your job, your employment history, or your future promotion schedule. It doesn't know if you should be paying off debt, if that would actually help or hurt your overall strategy. Doesn't explain to you that your student loans don't count the way that you think they count. It doesn't know if your parents are going to be willing to help you with a gift. And it doesn't know if you should be buying this with or without your partner on the loan. And it certainly doesn't know what your overall budgeting and monthly contributions to savings and retirement and investments are. And it doesn't know what you can do to change that to strategically be able to find an affordable way to buy a home. Calculator doesn't know your debt to income ratio, and it sure as hell not going to give you a plan on the things I talked about, like how much or how little debt can you carry so that you can be approved for a loan that creates the right affordable option for you. And it certainly doesn't know your relationship with money and your personal budgeting and saving styles. And here's the one that gets really overlooked. That calculator, it doesn't know your immediate and long-term financial and personal goals. Doesn't know if you're trying to buy a condo or a starter home or if you're looking to get a forever home. Doesn't know if you would happily live in a townhome for 5 years so you could build equity. Doesn't know that you've explored both Plan A and Plan B for this first home purchase. Plan A, you want to buy this home, want to build equity, and then sell it and move up to a bigger home. But you've also looked at Plan B to explore keeping this first home to build your wealth big time. And then you're going to be planning that next purchase, and you get to keep the first one, but you've got a whole savings plan after you make the purchase of your first home. You do know about Plan A and Plan B, right? My super hack. The thing I've been telling rising generations is their best way to beat this rigged economy. It's from episode 406. You know that one. Yeah? Great. Well, a mortgage calculator is for sure not calculating these options for you. Those 7 boxes also don't ask you anything about, hey, if you want to save $150,000, are you cool with a 45-minute commute to work? It doesn't know if you're planning to use your home for other things. Maybe it's a multi-generational home. Maybe you're going to have your parents move in. Maybe you're going to have to calculate, hey, can I buy this home and build an ADU? Can we build one separately in the backyard, or can we convert it? It doesn't know that you want a house hack. It doesn't know that you're thinking of any kind of roommate, family, or something else. Doesn't know if you want kids. Doesn't know if you never want kids. And you know what? It doesn't know that you're actually not buying this home for yourself because you love your cats or your dogs, and this house is going to be more of a castle for them than a home for you. When you're just getting numbers, you're not looking at all the options. What if you want to stay flexible in the next 3 to 5 years? Or what if you've been renting for 5, 10 years and you really crave some stability and you want that, if not forever, close to forever home? Each and every single one of these paths, they have different financial strategies. And those few boxes, they don't know what your version of success looks like when you take everything into consideration. And here's the thing that bums me out to my core. The reason why I'm on this microphone trying to get answers out to everybody, because that's what people want. People want answers. And you, the new generation of home buyers, I understand that you're used to getting the answers right on your fingertips immediately. And you know what? Awesome. Use that power. Don't call me an old boomer calling you lazy. I am straight up Gen X, latchkey kid, and I drank hose water. Okay? So I am absolutely behind it and empowering you to do your own research. But I do know that for a very good reason, when it comes to real estate questions, people end up doing more of their own research than they really should, because you'd rather do that instead of getting a spam avalanche from a pushy salesperson. I know. I hate it, but so many people in real estate suck. And what I'm trying to correct here with the mission of this podcast is to explain to you, hey, I completely understand that for many of you, you'd rather go down the internet rabbit hole yourself than get stalked by a human being, thinking that that person is going to try to either push you into buying the wrong home or getting you a terrible deal. But what I'm here to share with you is it's not either or. You don't have to do it on your own or get pushed into something that makes your house poor. You do have the option to calculate way more than a mortgage calculator because you can find a human team that won't just spit out a number and crush your dreams or give you a crazy fantasy number and oversell what you should do, trying to push you into that purchase that gets them paid now, but sticks you with years and years of a home that you really can't afford. So I know you want to do lots of this on your own, but I'm telling you, you don't have to. I'm recommending that you find a team that'll give you a deeper, more personal, much more beneficial solution than a freaking mortgage calculator. Now, I have people that I talk to all the time, and they say, yeah, David, we looked into it. We can't buy. We ran the numbers. Now, depending on my mood that day, my reactions are something like this. Either I cry a little, or I reach out and go, you know what? Have you really looked into it? Is there anything I can do to help? Or I scream into a pillow because I'm a little frustrated that day. Or when they say, yeah, we ran the numbers, I will look at them and go, did you? I don't think you really did. You ran some numbers, and I'm pretty sure you have no action steps for what to do after you did that, and no explanation of the hundreds of options that would change those numbers. Sometimes if I'm in a really pissy and protective mood, I will also say, oh, and by the way, where did you find that mortgage calculator? Oh, so that was on a website that is trying to sell you another product. They're something which definitely isn't the best something for you. So they're built to give you an answer to get you to reach out to them. And that's what's so dangerous, because without all your personal factors, these calculators, they can be severely off in both directions. I mean, I've seen hundreds of times where they tell people that they can afford way more home than they should actually buy, but I've also seen the opposite much more often. I mean, like 10 times more, where people get scared away from home ownership entirely because somebody plugs some stuff into a calculator, sees a payment that's thousands higher than their rent, and they immediately decide they can't buy. End of story, case closed. Now, if you want more answers on that, I discussed real affordability in 2026. That's all in episode 443. The numbers there are going to shock you to your core. And you'll also figure out why my core is so shaken with disappointment when first-time homebuyers, and I don't care, people from $200,000 to $2 million, they haven't had anyone explain a formula that goes well beyond that mortgage calculator they find online. One of the biggest mistakes I see happening right now is people comparing their rent directly to a future mortgage payment without understanding that they're not comparing apples to apples. I mean, if someone's paying $2,000 a month in rent and they see a $2,800 mortgage, well, they immediately say, hey, that monthly payment doesn't work. Nope, can't do it. Okay, well, hang on. You're comparing two totally different things. And if that's you, the detailed math, the real answers to the affordability dilemma, that's in episode 460. It's called The Real Math on Rent versus Buy for 2026. If you're brand new to the show and you're going, what is he talking about? All these other episodes. Here's the deal. There is no one magic episode for everybody out there. You all have individual paths. And in each episode, I'm going to give you other episodes that help you with your research. Start at the first 10 steps. That's episode 400. And then go to the episode guide in the show notes. We'll put it in there for you and make your own playlist. Topics that you need to know. And today's lesson, never let a mortgage calculator stop you with an incomplete answer from starting your plan. Not buying a home, just starting your plan. That's the heart of this entire episode. Mortgage calculator isn't wrong because it's bad at math. It's wrong because it's pretending its math is the entire story. Buying a home isn't just impossible or possible based on the number it spits out at you. Buying a home is strategy. It's timing. It's planning. It's understanding all your options and talking to people who know more options that you can't find because you're not buying and selling homes every single day. You're not helping first-time home buyers build a strategy. 7 days a week. And you're going to find dozens of different ways to do this. That 50-page instruction manual with a guide, you're going to get a ton. They're going to help you decide which one achieves your goals best. And they're going to be able to help you keep on top of the changes because options change all the time. Real estate changes all the time. Loan programs, grant programs, interest rates are obviously moving all the time, but changes in the way sellers are selling homes. Are you getting concessions? Are you getting cash back? Lending guidelines change too, and new lending products come up all the time. Some of my favorite examples of people finding so much more than a mortgage calculator come in the listener interviews. Again, those are also in the episode guide that'll be in the show notes. We've had people who thought they needed 20% down or were told they needed 30% down. And guess what? When they talked to the right person, they only needed 0. That's a true story. People also think that they need 2 years on a job, or they think student loans are going to make buying a home impossible. But when they finally talk to that financial advisor, not a number cruncher lender, an order taker lender, someone that gives them the expertise and opens up that big 50-page manual, they discovered not only there were things they were wrong about, but also they had options they never knew about. So when I say that mortgage calculators are garbage and that they're crushing the American dream, yeah, I say that because I am pissed off, because there's an injustice that's been happening for decades to the people that are earnestly seeking answers about buying their first home. And when they seek answers, they come away with more questions. And without sounding too corny, yeah, it pisses me off, but it also breaks my heart too. I think one of the biggest financial mistakes happening all across America right now, and even up in Canada too, is people not knowing that buying homes is possible. So they just decide to not even try. So few people are honestly explaining all the options. People just give up. They're not going to lose money because they bought the wrong house. Yeah, that's something you want to avoid. But you know where you lose more money? Never learning that it was possible and renting for way too long. And those damn mortgage calculators with one generic estimate, people let that incomplete information make a life decision for them. Now, here's the moral of the story for today's episode. Use mortgage calculators. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Seriously, you heard me right. Use them. Play with them. Experiment. They're a helpful tool. A tool. Not to learn whether you should or shouldn't buy a home, but to start to learn how the financial inner workings of buying a home works. Look at how interest rates affect your payments. Learn how down payments affect payments. And the one that's going to shock you the most, because it's not nearly as much as everybody thinks it is change the down payment. Most people think I got to have a huge down payment down so I can finally get an affordable monthly payment. Not so fast. Check the math there. And go ahead, do it on a mortgage calculator. Use it as an educational tool. Just never use them as financial advisors or decision makers. That's not what they are. A calculator can calculate, but a true specialized unicorn team, they can strategize, and they're going to open up doors for you with education on the entire process. When you're using a great team, no matter what number that a mortgage calculator pops out for you, does it ever say to you, okay, what's next? How do we improve that? What are my options? That's what a team does for you. Because buying a home, it's never about putting in a few numbers to find the perfect payment, and then that's when you start. It's about finding the right path through the game board. You know, everybody starts at a different place on the game board. And too many people think that a mortgage calculator tells you where your starting position on the board is. That's wrong. Episode 480 explains that. And that episode's under 20 minutes. And you learn all about where's your starting point. 7 boxes and a mortgage calculator do not explain your starting point. The 50-page instruction manual with the unicorn that shows you all your options. And the one thing that you never get from them is a stop sign. They give you your correct starting point. Mortgage calculators, too often, they end up being a non-starter for everybody. You all have a path. You just all start at different places on the board. When you get started, you shouldn't be told whether you can or can't start. You should be educated on where you should start. Let me end this episode with the same message that I ended my garbage episode back in 2023. Don't let an incomplete, unfinished, less than partial financial evaluation from a calculator stop you from starting your plan. You're here, so I know you want to do this. Start your planning. Just get the real education immediately. And you know what? For some of you, when you read the whole 50-page manual with a guide, you might figure out that buying a home in your 20s is not for you. Maybe you want to be nomadic and cruise all over the world. Rock on. You do you. But make sure that you're deciding when you know everything. Don't let a grammar school calculator make a big decision like that for you. Right now, thanks to these stupid calculators, a whole bunch of people out there don't think they can buy a home. The average age of first-time homebuyers jumped to 40 years old. It's usually around 32. I got to tell you this. I don't know too many 30-year-olds that wouldn't have benefited from a nice, free conversation when they were 30 years old with someone explaining all the options, how they could replace their rent and buy a home at 30 and finding, well, maybe you're not there now, but maybe here's your path to get you there at 31. Imagine all those people out there, 10 years of renting because they didn't know they had options. And what if they're renting for $2,000 a month, 10 years, $240,000 to a landlord? Nothing for you. So gang, I'm telling you this with love, empathy, and all the care in my heart. This is a revolution to free you from the binds of remedial calculations that don't tell you what to do next. I started this revolution to disrupt the real estate industry because I saw two things happening. One, after a dozen years in the industry, I told you 7 years ago, I started this because I wanted to explain how royally screwed first-time home buyers are with the service they're getting and help them find service that has their best interest in mind. And then secondly, here's what happened with mortgage calculators. I watched the world change. I'm a little old, so I was around and I saw internet. Ooh, brand new thing. Yeah, in the 90s, real estate changed because of the internet. And then with smartphones in 2007, suddenly consumers could double check and they could make sure, hey, is this guy just being pushy and trying to get me into some deal so he can get paid? I can now double check it with the computer on my phone. And one of the things that got created that I love is community consumerism. It's awesome because it helps shield and protect everybody. And the majority of the time, that's a great thing. But now, with all the economic turmoil around the housing affordability crisis, most hopeful first-time homebuyers, they think they're getting community consumerism. They think they're getting answers on their own, but it ends up making them too quick to dismiss their options based on what is truly just an incomplete algorithm. And I don't blame them. They've been beaten down by the economic news combined with the terrible levels of education and service by the real estate industry. So here's where we are today. I can't change the economics, but I can break the silence and pull back the curtain and give you the secrets. Look, right now, what most people do is they Google to find a mortgage calculator on their own to figure out where they're starting. After months and months and months, maybe even years of work, and then they Google and find hundreds of area expert realtors. That's BS too, but that's another story. Most people, their sequence of events is picking a calculator, and then eventually when they feel like they're ready, that's when they pick their lender or their realtor. But the absolute best way to find your best path, the most efficient, low stress, maximum buying power path to home ownership, that's to hire your real estate team early and have them build you a full plan with your personal and financial goals, which creates a huge formula and tons of options. And that's going to blow away that garbage mortgage calculator. Pisses me off so much sometimes I can't even say it. If you've got questions, go to howtobuyahome.com. There's a button right there. You can ask David, or you can ask me for a unicorn team that you can talk to in your local area. And I hope this has been beneficial to you. And please, 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 if you're getting anything out of this, subscribe to the podcast. I got so many people that listen, and not everybody's subscribing. And if you have been listening for a while and you're getting help, take 60 seconds, 90 seconds, write a review. Just a minute, anywhere you listen to podcasts, it really helps us get the message out there because things are not going to change drastically. 2026 and 27 is going to be a weird kind of flat, stabilizing normal market, but it doesn't mean that buyers out there can't buy. So help me out because this revolution must continue. The truth needs to get out there so the next generations can see well past what a mortgage calculator shows them. And you do too, because you can do this.
Looking for more DIY education or your own personal step-by-step guidance through the home buying journey? Since 2019, How to Buy a Home has been the #1 resource for first-time home buyers. So visit howtobuyaHome.com to get started.